Yo, it's your boy Nick Jr. Rob coming at you with Lock It Up, presented by ComedyChair.com. We're going to go over the Week 16 college football picks. So get ready, lock yourself in, because we're about to blast off. Boom, we're blasting off. Your seatbelt's on, I hope. Great, grand, wonderful. You're probably asking yourself, why am I listening to this kid yet again for another week when he just went 2-6-1? Well, I'll help answer that question. It's called a rut. Sometimes you hit them, sometimes you don't, but most of the time you're going to hit them. And I hit one last week, and there's only one way out of it, and that is just to keep moving forward, positive vibes only. So we're going to go into Week 16 with some positive vibes and hopefully some positive picks to turn this around for that overall record, which is currently sitting at 46, 36, and 1. So still looking good, just had a shitty week last week. Let's get it back on track. Let's get it back going. Let's take a look at the games. We're taking a look here at Rutgers plus 6.5 versus Nebraska. That's today. That's Friday. Let's get it going. Man, I like this game a lot. I like the way Rutgers has been playing the last couple of games. They're 6-3 against the spread against Big Ten teams, so performing really well against the spread overall. So I'm going to take the plus 6.5 here with Rutgers. Also, I just don't like Nebraska. Just nothing excites me about that team. Also, I have a Nebraska fan reaching out to me saying, hey, why don't you do something different with your video? Maybe put a background or something in. You know what? Fine. Just for you, Miss Nebraska, I'm going to take Rutgers plus 6.5. And you know what? Hey, Quaz Money, why don't you put some background in here? Let's get some slot machines, lines going. Let's get crazy, all right? So that's for you, Mr. Nebraska fan. Now, on to the next game here. Let's take a look at USC versus Oregon. I have USC here winning the Pac-12 championship. So I obviously got to stick with that pick. I'm going to go with USC -3 against Oregon. I really have just been seeing a tremendous amount of just overall just great performance by USC. I love the receiving core there. I like the quarterback, that London kid, that receiver. Quality stud. I think he's going to be a good NFL pick coming up here in the future. And taking a look at the Ducks team, they're coming off of 2 losses, so 2-game losing streak. I just don't think they have it in them. And I mean, like I said last week with USC, I mean, you got to take them -3 because even if they win by more than a field goal, you're winning. Everybody's winning. I'm taking USC here -3. So jumping into Saturday's game, this is the one that I was a little bit pissed off when I looked at Rivers Casino. I just don't get why. Universities of Illinois, like, you can't bet against them or bet with them. Most of the time I would bet against them. But here I wanted to take Ohio State and Northwestern, the over of 57. I think it's just going to be a high-scoring affair. I think Ohio State's going to put on a show. Do I necessarily think they cover the 20? I don't. That's why I'm kind of sticking away from that one. Would I be surprised? No. But I definitely do think they hit that over of 37. Their last games for Ohio State, they went 64, 77, 76, 64, and 69. Nice. So that's why I'm going to stick with it. I mean, I'm going to keep going with the trend here. I'm going to take that over 75. Unfortunately, can't bet it here in the state of Illinois unless you do it illegally, which we do not. So we're going to go with Ohio State, the over of 57. Just on word. I'll put it in text, put it here in the video. At least you know I have it down. Possibly winning some money there, but can't. Moving on to the next game here, and that is Texas A&M versus Tennessee. I got Texas A&M -14. Just taking a look at it, I mean, Tennessee has been playing terrible at home against these big-name schools. For example, Bama, they lost by, 31 points. I think it was 48-17. And then I think Tennessee also got their butt whooped against... No, they didn't get their butt whooped. They lost closely against Florida at home. I still just think Texas A&M wins by more than 2 touchdowns here. Let's take a look here at my notes. I mean, Texas A&M has one of the best defenses in the last 3 games. They only allowed 252 yards and 10 points per game on those 3 games stretch. So I'm going to keep rocking with them. Big Jimbo Fisher guy. Wish he was still at Florida State. Also, let's get into that real quick. Texas A&M. Let's go there. minus 14. But kind of go back to the Florida State comment that I just had. Wake Forest cancels Florida State's last game of the year due to COVID? Come on, people. Didn't they know the season was back on after that huge win last week? It's just a shame. It's a shame Demon Deacons had to do that to my boys. What a terrible move. It's probably because you guys lost last week for me. Bunch of scumbags. Terrible decision. Florida State, they'll be back. We'll bounce back. We'll get it going next year. So let's move on from that. Enough. I'm going to get pissed off. Let's move on. I was really looking forward to watching Florida State this weekend. Let's take a look at the Missouri-Mississippi State game. There's not much into this. Missouri has been performing against these big-name teams. For example, I felt like they held their own against Alabama. I think they held their own against Florida. I think they hold their own against here with Mississippi State at Mississippi State. -1. I think you take Missouri here. Mississippi State is just absolutely terrible. They had one good game against LSU, and everybody blows their load over them, thinking that they're a decent team. No, they're not. I really, truly don't think they are. Missouri -1. Lock it up. That's the lock of the week. I'm going to take Missouri -1. Now jumping into some of these fun games here, the conference championships. I got the ACC one here. Man, this is going to probably be the best championship game that we see this weekend. Going into it, I'm going to take Clemson -10.5 with Trevor Lawrence as the starting QB. I mean, that last game that they had against Notre Dame when they lost against Clemson without Trevor Lawrence, they didn't look that bad. And they also had a freshman quarterback as a starter. So now you replace that freshman starting quarterback with arguably probably one of the top performing college football quarterbacks of all time back into this high-powered offense. Yes, don't get me wrong. I do believe Notre Dame has arguably one of the best defenses in the nation. I just don't think they have enough to keep up with Trevor Lawrence and the boys. I think they win by more than 10. It's going to be a high-scoring affair, I think. But I think Trevor Lawrence pulls it out, prevails, and takes his team to another college football playoffs. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to the next championship game here. I have the SEC championship. This one, I've been sticking away from this team because I feel like they always take their foot off the gas pedal. They always take a big lead, and then they coast around the third quarter. But I haven't been seeing that lately. I've been seeing the Tide rolling. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep rolling with the Tide. We're going to take Tide -17. Florida I just don't think is as good as everybody thinks. I think they're a two-man band. They have a quarterback and they have a tight end. That's it. And Alabama has a whole defense that's easily probably the best defense in the nation. They have one of the most crazy high-powered offenses I've ever seen with the run and pass game. I mean, you're losing your best receiver and you still kill people. Watch out for Bama. I think you take Bama -17. I think they win by 21 points. Taking a look now, Cincy is finally back. I have had a sore spot for Cincy for a while. I feel like they've screwed me against the spreads the last couple of weeks. And this week they are -14 versus Tulsa in their conference championship. I think I do it. I think I got to stick with my gut, and I got to go with Cincy. I'm going to take Cincy -14. I think they prevail. I think 14's too low of a number for them. I think they win this game by 17, maybe 20. So I'll take that 14 any day of the week, and that's where I'm going to sit with that.